What would happen if a person stayed without food for exactly 382 days? More precisely, could someone survive 382 days without putting even a single bite of solid food into their mouth? In 1965, a young man named Angus Barbieri had reached 207 kilograms, despite being only in his late 20s. His excessive weight had turned daily life into a near torture, and his health was in serious danger. He could not pass through turnstiles, could not climb stairs, and even getting on a bus had become a struggle. Such a high body weight put tremendous strain on his heart and other organs. At just 27 years old, he was battling issues like high blood pressure, shortness of breath, and limited mobility. This painted a picture of a drastically shortened life expectancy. Angus was aware of this danger. His constant eating habit no longer brought pleasure, only exhaustion. Yet he could not stop. A new beginning had become necessary. What made him interesting was not just his decision to lose weight. What made him different was that he would do it by eating nothing for more than a year. In June 1965, he sought help from doctors. At that time, controlled fasting treatments were being tested for short periods in morbidly obese patients. Doctors planned a 40-day fasting protocol for Angus. During this period, he would eat nothing solid and survive only on water and calorie-free beverages. Angus accepted without hesitation. The idea of giving up food did not scare him. It felt like liberation. Preparation began in the hospital for the 40-day program. At that time, 40 days was the longest fasting duration recommended by medicine, and anything beyond that was considered risky. At first, his body naturally struggled. His stomach growled, he lost sleep, and his thoughts were constantly filled with food. But after a few days, a surprising adaptation began. It was as if his body approved of the decision and switched to using internal reserves. At the end of the 40 days, tests showed that his results were surprisingly normal. He had lost a significant amount of weight, and his blood pressure and heart rate were stable. He had lost around 15 to 20 kilograms. None of the major risks, such as heart rhythm disturbances, blood sugar crashes, dehydration, or reflex loss, appeared in him. Apart from slight fatigue, there was no serious issue. Given this, the doctors began to think, why not continue? He was already under constant medical supervision, and any complication would be handled immediately. Angus's living circumstances also made the process easier. He lived with his family, had no dependents, and did not work a physically demanding job. He worked at his father's restaurant, but since starting the fasting treatment, he had stopped working. There was no financial pressure. Even staying in the hospital for 40 days proved that. When the process was extended, his father supported him, even saying, "If necessary, I'll close the shop for a while." As days passed, Angus experienced unusual psychological changes. He lost almost all interest in food. Seeing others eat no longer bothered him. He often didn't even notice food scents. He was monitored regularly by doctors and received vitamin and mineral supplements. He was given especially high doses of multivitamins, since B vitamins are critical for energy production. Since Angus was not eating, his body had to get energy from fat. Minerals like potassium and sodium were closely monitored. For example, on the 92nd day when his potassium dropped, doctors intervened immediately. For 382 days, he put nothing in his mouth except water, tea, and coffee. Since his energy levels were low, his days passed calmly. His metabolism had slowed, and there were even months when he did not go to the bathroom for days. Despite this, he lost about 300 to 400 grams every day, averaging 2 to 3 kilograms a week. His face thinned significantly, the fullness in his cheeks disappeared, and he developed loose skin due to rapid weight loss. Skin tightening surgeries were not common at the time, so he had to live with this appearance. But he had no aesthetic concerns. He only cared about his health. In the later stages of fasting, his body went into full energy-saving mode. His heart rate dropped, and his movement slowed. As the one approached, he sometimes went nearly 2 months without a bowel movement. Despite this, he generally did not feel too bad. He experienced occasional fatigue, but unlike many others, he did not suffer severe muscle loss, fainting episodes, or balance problems. Over time, fasting became routine for him. Just as we look forward to our daily meals, he had become accustomed to not eating. Of course, the process was not completely problem-free. Especially during the first weeks, he experienced hunger crises, stomach pains at night, and food-related dreams. But since he avoided work and social triggers, the process became more manageable for him. As this extraordinary experience leaked to the press, Angus's story attracted major attention. Everyone was curious about this record fast. But the real question was, when would it end? He had started at 207 kilograms. At 182 centimeters tall, his ideal weight was determined to be around 80 to 82 kilograms, meaning he needed to lose about 125 kilograms. Based on his daily average weight loss, this target would take about 380 days. And when the calendar reached July 1966, Angus's unbelievable journey was complete. June 30th, 1966 was his final day without solid food, but the most dangerous phase was just beginning, refeeding, the process of transitioning back to food. Many patients had died during this stage. That's why Angus remained under observation for 10 more days, as his body was slowly reintroduced to small amounts of salt and sugar. Finally, on the morning of July 11th, 1966, Angus received his first real meal in front of reporters: a boiled egg, a slice of buttered toast, and a cup of coffee. It may have been the world's most ordinary breakfast, but for him, it marked the end of more than a year of fasting. He salted the egg and took a bite. Then he tore off a small piece of the bread. A faint smile appeared on his face. "I had forgotten what food tastes like." "Not bad," he said. It wasn't surprising that such a small meal filled him. His stomach capacity had drastically shrunk. His doctors warned him not to eat too much. "I'm a little tired, but I'm fine," he said, announcing that he had safely completed the process. Angus's fasting journey was recorded in the 1971 Guinness Book of Records as the longest complete voluntary fast and has never been broken. After 2016, such attempts were banned entirely. Surviving more than a year without eating anything, and doing so safely, is truly extraordinary. But even his doctors emphasized that this case was highly exceptional and not something everyone could achieve. Surprisingly, Angus maintained his ideal weight. Over the next 5 years, he gained only a few kilograms and continued life at around 88 to 89 kilograms. He returned to normal eating, rebuilt his life, could walk, travel, and enjoy social life again. He later married and had 2 children. He preferred to stay away from the media because he didn't want his experience to be misunderstood. Researchers who examined him over the years found that his metabolism and organs were generally healthy. However, despite all his effort, Angus did not live as long as one might expect. He died on September 7, 1990, at age 51. At that time, average male life expectancy was nearly 70. His cause of death was recorded as a short illness, likely an infection or organ failure. Doctors argued that the fasting experiment did not shorten his life, since he lived healthily for 24 more years. We can never know for certain. But one thing is certain. Attempting such a process today is extremely dangerous and entirely unnecessary. When healthy methods exist, trying to fast for 382 days is not a rational choice. If you struggle with similar issues, always rely on exercise and balanced nutrition. That's all from me for this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. Your likes and comments mean a lot to me. I'm Narravia. See you in the next video. Take care of yourself.